show is starting.
I feel the liftoff. The clock has started. Roger.
Due to the unpredictable nature of the Ask Dr. Hal show, Home Edition, some material may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
The finest in underground television.
The Raven. Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, as I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I murmured, rapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly had I sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never dreamed before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor, entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor, entreating entrance at my chamber door, merely this, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, or "Madam, your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so softly you came rapping, and so gently you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and the echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon, again, I heard the tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, from the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore, though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ancient grim and ghastly raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Much I marvelled, this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for one cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hopes that melancholy burden bore, of never more. But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy after fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, while I took mine ease, reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget the lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted. Tell me truly, I implore, tell me, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me truly, I implore, quoth the raven. Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul, with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore? Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend? I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hast spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit to bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming casts his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Edgar Allan Poe.
Here before you is an opportunity to plumb the depths of the mysteries that confound and intrigue us. A chance to ask the big questions. Dr. Hal is not concerned with questions of trivial matters or of facts that are easily gathered elsewhere. Dr. Hal seeks the questions that transcend fact. He stands before you, ready to take questions that used to be brought to wise and aged sages on distant mountaintops. These questions can now be asked from the comfort of your living room. No Sherpas required. Simply direct your favorite web browser to our new and simple-to-use website, AskDrHalShow.com, or click the Ask Dr. Hal button below our live Twitch broadcast. You will be spirited away to the magical Co-Fee portal, where all you need do is submit your burning question in the handy message field, and assign a monetary value you wish to place upon it. Our stage ghost will then convey your message live to Dr. Hal, and he will answer in the manner that only Dr. Hal can. Don't worry, we never sell, share, or solicit using your provided email address. PayPal will ensure that your valuable love offering goes directly to Dr. Hal. Links to submit questions and more can be found at our website, AskDrHalShow.com. Do not let this opportunity to consult a modern-day oracle, a seer for seers, a man steeped in the arts, sciences, and esoteric studies, pass you by. We present to you, through the very miracle of the internet itself, the one and only Dr. Hal Robins, now making house calls.
Greetings and salutations.
And hey, it all worked. Wow, man. 3 minutes before the show is going on, everything went poop.
That's great. A computer for you.
It was fun.
What about the theory that they sense your nervous system and stage those things?
The technician sensor. It's and then the problem disappears when the technician arrives.
Yes. Well, thank heavens the technician arrived. Well, if that's the only problem we have, it's smooth sailing and fair weather. And I know that you and I and Professor Gofflin have assembled a superior and intriguingly interesting show this time.
And I'm glad you brought up Professor Gofflin. It gives me a chance to mention that she is on special assignment this evening. She is, however, out in the audience. She is, from her undisclosed location, able to get out enough to the internet that she's able to interact with our lovely audience and be a presence out there, graciously
My
shaking
understanding
hands.
is that she'll be with us at the chat, probably.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, we'll see.
I'd
We invite everyone to join us at the chat at the end of the show. So if you don't like anything that we did, you can tell us about it, or even if you liked it. In the live show, we had what we called a side note, where people were able to make criticism then and there. This is our version in the Ask Dr. Hal show, the home edition.
Wow. I'm in my questioner screen.
Well, don't you have one? A question?
You know, I do, and let me spin the wheels. Now, I do have one picked out for you.
All right.
Which I'm going to point out that we're doing out of kindness, because we know he's 1,000 miles away, and it's like, oh my God, it's some ungodly hour for him. But our very good friend, Reverend Griffin, says, it's a $21 question, by the way, Dr. Hal. It's always ask Dr. Hal, but never Hal's Dr. Hal. So, Hal, Dr. Hal.
It's always ask Dr. Hal, but never Hal's Dr. Hal. But that is a possessive and not a verb.
Well, Dr. Hal, I read them, I don't correct them.
That is so. Well, I would have to say you are slightly mistaken in your apprehension. It is Hal's Dr. Hal. That is me. I am Hal, and it is my show. And you may have observed I even get a directing credit. But I have to say that is a courtesy extended to me by the many people who work to bring you this show. And I would be directionless, flailing like a compass in a magnetic storm without their timely assistance. And not only theirs, but yours, since this show typically stands and falls on the questions that we receive. Now, once again, if I have misunderstood your question because of the cryptic nature, please put it in the chat or wait to read us the riot act of the listeners at the end when you join us, as I assume you may, on the chat. And satisfactory or not, that answer will have to stand. But you're
Dr. Hal, if I may, I'm going to break in here. I might be able to clarify if I give you some of the spelling.
Very good.
It reads, it's always ask Dr. Hal, but never Howl's Dr. Hal, as in Howls. So, Howl, Howl, Dr. Hal. And I will read that. I will read that in its context. It's always ask Dr. Hal, but never Howl's Dr. Hal. So, Howl, Dr. Hal. I'll leave now.
I'm still not sure about the grammar here, which is so important. You have to know how a sentence is composed. There must be a subject and a predicate and a verb that drives it. But you have observed that there are more than one name associated with me and with this show. But the original name was created by Chicken John, who knows me as Hal. However, online and in the Church of the Subgenius, it's written Dr. H. O-W-L-L, short for Howland Owl, for which I refer you to Walt Kelly. We don't intend to change it because you've observed there are lots of intertitles and animations and things that all depend upon this spelling of the name. And one further note is this show is called Ask Dr. Hal, or the Ask Dr. Hal Show, the home edition. In this, instead of sitting in a nightclub, you're looking at a screen. Or submitting something, you're actually seeing an image, not just of me, but other delicacies which we have prepared for you in our Ask Dr. Hal kitchen. And as I said before, if any confusion exists, it is my fault, but we hope to clarify always with this and other questions. In my craft or sullen art, exercised in the still night, while only the moon rages, and the lovers lie abed, holding the griefs of the world in their arms, I labor by singing light. Not for ambition or bread, or for the strut and trade of charms on the ivory stages, but for the common wages of their most secret heart. Not for the proud man, apart from the raging moon, I write on these spindrift pages, nor for the towering dead with their nightingales and psalms, but for the lovers, their arms round the griefs of the ages, who pay no praise nor wages, nor heed my craft or art. That's Dylan Thomas, and thanks for your question.
Beautiful, Hal. I have a $12 question from our very, very, very good friend and colleague, Dr. Billy, a bandmaster extraordinaire. And he asks, Hal, which classic comic book hero do we need most?
Well, when you say classic, I assume you're not referring to classic comic books, which came out when I was a kid and were comic book versions of the canonical Western literature. The idea was you could read the comic and then read the book, but the comics were often not that readable. Some were quite confusing, even psychedelic, if you've ever seen their version of Faust. But when we think of a classic comic book, or perhaps when you do, you're thinking of a comic book that had a great influence on popular culture. And these then would not be the underground comics that I worked in and am still working in, but the mass market periodicals from, let us say, DC, Marvel, or even Carlton, or other independents. I have to say, simply because of a certain contrarian nature that I possessed and still possess, that the hero you're speaking of, was it the hero or the character, the classic character? That would be Herbie Popnecker, who I have spoken of before. The producers of Unknown Worlds, which actually was secretly a subsidiary of DC Comics, birthed, without really knowing what they were doing, but in an experimental way, the extraordinary central figure of Herbie Popnecker, who was an incredibly obese child with a bowl haircut and thick glasses, who was always sucking on a lollipop, who never seemed to be moving very fast, and whose father, an uncanny ringer for J.R. Bob Dobbs, constantly berated him and called him a little fat nothing. And his mother weakly aided in this, although she would attempt to defend him by saying, "Now, you know, he's not little." And it's true, he was not. But neither of his parents knew that he was an extraordinary being, the friend of aliens, devils, angels, and creatures in other dimensions, who possessed the ability to travel through the air, although he trudged pudgily along through the air rather than flying like Superman, at least for the first run of issues. And not only that, his lollipop was one kept in a lollipop cabinet under lock and key, and these lollipops enabled him to travel through time or into the past or out of this world entirely simply by placing them between his overly fat lips. And these came out in the 60s, in the middle 60s, before the whole country was loosened up by the revolution of the counterculture. But the counterculture drew on it to some degree. I even have a statue of Herbie Popnecker, although it is not visible on the screen. So I would have to say that. But in the meantime, I have recently reacquainted myself with some of the classic comics, and some of them weren't too bad. I just read Oliver Twist, which was actually drawn by George Evans and John Severin, who comics fans will recognize as two of the great draftsmen and illustrators from EC Comics, and Mad, although Severin later went to Cracked. However, we're not going to get into the history of comics here. I hope I have made my preference clear. And once one gets out of the regular field of comics, there are many underground characters. Mr. Natural, for example, by Robert Crumb, which I will always champion. Thanks for your question.
Hal, what do you
I
think?
wonder
Do you,
what he meant.
oh, I'm sorry.
I wonder if that's what he meant. We are always trying to answer according to what we think is the meaning of the question. But you were about to suggest something.
Oh, well, I was going to give you a choice. Would you like another question, or would you like to go to our first monster movie moment? I'm going to leave it up to you.
We have wonderful monster movie moments this time, and I would wager that even most subgeniuses are not familiar with the sources. So, to cause anticipation to build, let's have another question, and then go to our first monster movie moment. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, certainly. But you know what? Before we do, I want to mention the opening cartoon we showed.
That's a good thing.
I was so proud to show that this time. I hope the audience got a chance to see it and enjoy it. If you didn't, this show will be out on archive.org, the full show, so you'll be able to catch the cartoon there. But it is a wonderful UPA cartoon of the Telltale Heart. Not for kids, man.
A superb version, and I'll say a little bit about this film. I've never seen the cartoon until now, but I've always wanted to, because as a self-described monster kid of the 50s and 60s and so on, I often treasured copies of Forrest J. Ackerman's Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, although as a monster magazine, I preferred C.C. Beck's Castle of Frankenstein. But in the back of Famous Monsters was a list of things you could order. Monster makeup, a plastic skull. I always wanted that, never got it. In fact, people who ordered said they never got their stuff. But one of the things that they offered was that film, the UPA cartoon of the Telltale Heart. And you could order these 8mm films and show them at home. Believe me, I often did on my projector and equipment. You might also be surprised to see or hear UPA and classic cartoon in the same sentence, since they were known for the limited quality of their animation and later for an unfortunate join with DePatie Freeling, also a limited animation sort of company. But this cartoon, as you have seen, is so well designed that it carries Poe's original story marvelously forward and has a great narration by James Mason. So, where are we anyway? We showed the cartoon. Now we're getting another question.
Where am I is a question I ask myself frequently, Dr. Howe.
Well, you can ask it formally, but
I
I
could
think
toss
we.
you $10 and ask you where I am. So, maybe. Who knows? But I have a
Well,
question.
yes, please.
Let me spin these wheels real quick, and let me see here. Let's see which one has a good scent on it. I see one here from our very good friend, Agrajag. It is a
Very good.
$10 question, and let me open it up. They say around this time of year usually that the veil is thinning. Just what is this veil made of that makes it fall apart every year, and is there any way to fix it?
Well, there is a way to fix it if it's something that need fixing. If you are so fond of the way things are that you dislike even the prospect of any interruption or suggestion of an alternate, then you can fix it as most people do by turning away and deliberately ignoring the tenuous division between what we know and understand in our world of exactitude, mathematical certainty, and physics, and dally with those imponderables, that twilight world, a world that usually fears the rising sun. The veil is the veil that conceals from us, some would say, the more malevolent and disquieting features of the universe. Sometimes, as C.S. Lewis wrote, the universe projects to us a hideous grimace, and that usually is veiled from us so we can go about our business. But in this month, a month of the celebration of the unusual and the supernatural, that veil appears to be more permeable. What is the supernatural? It is something above nature, above our understanding and the way we carry on our affairs, as the name suggests. And the supernatural is the realm of miracles, things which happen which are not in our expectation, and sometimes even apparently controlled by the laws of physics. But if they do happen, and of course we never have any understanding that they do besides people's recollections, then our world of nature, mathematics, understood fact, goes right to its usual occupation and folds in whatever happened as a natural event. At any rate, I don't know if this has cleared up your question, but this is the answer in such circumstances that we always give.
Dr. Hal, the time has come for us to show our first monster movie moment, which is another. It's another wonderful piece of oh my goodness, animation, a beautiful thing.
It may somewhat deal with some elements of the last question.
Yes, indeed. Our whole mood tonight seems to be in that spirit. So,
Well, it is the Halloween season. It used to be just a holiday, but now it's a whole season, and they put up the directions way early. I mean, the decorations. Anyway, let us proceed.
I don't mean to be one of those older guys, but I remember a time that Halloween almost died, and nobody was like doing it anymore. And then one day it just caught fire again, and all of a sudden you've got inflatable ghosts on people's lawns and 30-foot tall skeletons.
Yes.
Well, anyway, here's the monster movie moment.
We at Ask Dr. Hal want to remind you never to mess with the occult. Tonight's clip is from the sequel to 1987's The Gate, where two young men play a heavy metal album backwards and achieve the formula to open the gate to hell. This follows them into the sequel, and now matters have concentrated to a point where a sacrifice must be made to the powers of darkness.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops.
Well, I hope that was an appropriate salute to the Halloween season. Were those some aliens looking in on us just now?
No, didn't happen.
All right. Well, often our friend VJ Pussycat shows us those. I was just wondering.
You'll be visited later by Men in Black.
Again?
Yeah,
Well, this time I'll have something for them to eat, unlike last time. So, let's continue on our way.
Well, let's see. I have a question here. It is a $12 question from Reverend Dr. Les. And it is salvation guaranteed? What if there are the downsides to making deals with the devil? Oh, what, if any, are the downsides to making deals with the devil? Now, that makes sense.
Well, there are downsides, of course, or else it wouldn't be the devil you were making deals with. Remember, first of all, the devil is a Christian character in that weird Oriental religion, Christianity. So if you are going to go to the crossroads in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and wait for His Satanic Majesty to show up so you can make a bargain, then you are inserting yourself into the Christian story, and you may be liable for the punishments, which are certainly as strong as the rewards in that frame. Beyond that, they say, and they ought to know, the devil is a liar and the father of all lies, like the current head of the U.S. government. And therefore, the devil is likely to trick you on a technicality. If you sign that contract before you prick your finger, if you look at the smoking parchment, make sure you read the boilerplate details. The more you believe in the devil, the more the devil believes he can get his hooks into you. But there are tales, and maybe only tales, of those who managed their own clever construction of the contract, which even defeated the devil. But in an equal number of tales, the devil inserted some codicil, which makes the contractee far more liable. And so if you're contemplating this, I would say don't. You could get a better deal from almost anyone. However, almost anyone doesn't have the extreme power to affect events that Lucifer does, who is also called the Prince of this world. To get away from this gloomy satanic subject, here is a verse from a poem, a well-known one, a lengthy one, and a Christian allegory. It is by Edmund Spencer, but this particular verse is a discourse on female beauty. Tell me, ye merchants' daughters, did ye see so fair a creature in your town before, so sweet, so lovely, and so mild as she, adorned with beauty's grace and virtue's store, her goodly eyes like sapphires shining bright, her forehead ivory white, her cheeks like apples which the sun hath rudded, her lips lips like cherries, charming men to bite, her breast like to a bowl of cream uncrudded, her paps like lilies budded, her snowy neck like to a marble tower, and all her body like a palace fair, ascending up with many a stately stair to honor's seat and chastity's sweet bower. Why stand ye still, ye virgins, in amaze, upon her so to gaze, whiles ye forget your former lay to sing, to which the woods did answer, and your echo ring?
Very nice, Dr. Hal. Let me see. I have a $10 question here from Dr. Penny.
Oh, great.
I haven't heard from Dr. Penny for a while. Well, good to see you, Dr. Penny.
She was listening to my last Radio Valencia radio show.
Oh, okay.
So let's hear her question. It's bound to be a good one.
Well, it is a $10 question again. And how is the proof put in the pudding?
Oh, well, I wonder if you have ever made pudding, Dr. Penny. I have, and that's putting your money where your mouth is. No, actually, pudding is a confection, and it needs to be boiled, and it needs to have milk, and there are many things which can cause it not to form. The proof that you have done it is in its setting. Ideally, you when you finish, you pour it into pudding cups and you put those in the refrigerator. I cover mine with a little bit of plastic wrap to contain the change which occurs within. Always in making candy and other magical things like that, there are lengthy, even alchemical processes to go through. Not so much in pudding, but for example, in candy making of certain candies, you have to keep boiling the sugar while it goes through many interesting changes, becomes golden and caramelized. In the pudding, you simply contain the mixture with the milk and set it until it develops a delicious what is it, the skin, they call it, of the pudding at the top. If it does not do this and remains liquid, then there is no proof and sadly no pudding. But the difficulty makes the experiment itself worthwhile. This was not the height of donation that normally prompts a poem, but in this case we will waive that and say one. But let's see, which will it be? How about from Faust? Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of Ilium? Sweet Helen, make me immortal with a kiss. Her lips suck forth my soul. See where it lies. Come, Helen, come, give me my soul again, here where I dwell. For heaven is in these lips, and all is dross that is not Helena. I will be Paris, and for love of thee, instead of Troy, shall Württemberg be sacked, and I will combat with weak Menelaus, and wear his colours on my plumed crest. Yea, I will fight Achilles, and wound him in the heel, and then return to Helen for a kiss. Oh, thou art fairer than the evening air, clad in the beauty of 1,000 stars. Brighter art thou than flaming Jupiter when he appeared to hapless Semele, more lovely than the monarch of the skies in wanton Arethusa's azured arms, and none but thou shalt be my paramour. Thank you for your question.
Well, Dr. Hal, I think I'm going to give our audience the opportunity to throw a couple of questions in the hopper and see if we can't get them over to you as your intercessors. So,
Very good.
what do you think? I think we should, we've got a really interesting guest tonight, a guest performer. Um, it's a great act, and they have an introduction that
You
they're
mean Sky Murmurs?
yes, Sky
Yes.
Murmurs, the very same.
They have just released this video, which is about the love of a human Earth man for an alien woman. And, well, there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Oh, yes, and the music video that accompanies this, of course, everyone I hope will recognize, and if they don't, they should. So, it's almost another monster movie moment after a fashion, isn't it, Dr. Hal?
Well, life is like that. So first the introduction and then the video.
Correct. No, first, the audience needs to get questions in so we can fulfill the name of the show, which is Ask Dr. Hal. So, audience,
That's right.
please get those
If you
questions
don't
in.
ask, you won't receive. I'm
Right.
afraid that is the way it is.
I can't, I don't believe in magic. The veil between my worlds is always the same thickness.
Keep saying that.
Well, I do believe in the background weirdness, the ever-present background weirdness. But I'll leave it at that. Here comes our guest for the evening.
Official introduction. Hi, I'm Mike. This is Robert, Adriana. We are the Sky Murmurs, a band out of Glendale, California, and we just finished our first album, First Contact, and we made a video of the song of the same name. And Hal's about to show it on the show, and it has a special relationship to Hal because Hal's in it, because he's in Chameleon's footage, which has been edited into the performance. What happened was we set up a performance and shot the band, and I had cut some projection material to project over us as we played. And one thing I did was cut all the Chameleon's footage in time to the music, and that was projected over us as we shot the performance, and that was the life of this little movie, and just put it somewhere. Anyway, now we had to do the animation, which was going to be the visuals of the whole thing. And we had something going already, an animator, designer, and we were trying to get in production, but COVID hit and the whole thing just fell apart. And so the film just sat there. It was an unfinished thing. We had the performance and that was it as far as I was concerned. But Robert found something.
Yeah. Luckily, I came across the footage that was cut for the projection. And
that's the Chameleon's footage to the song,
Yeah. And we had never really listened and focused in on it that way because it was just intended to be timed for the projection in the background for the music video performance. It wasn't supposed to be anything that we were supposed to focus on. But when I did focus on it, it was amazing the way that the song blended with the video. And I told Mike and Adriana, I said, I think this should be the video itself, and we should just...
You were kind of shouting that it should be the video.
True.
No, he was really into
I was
it.
just impressed with the way that they sync together. It's incredible.
I felt the same way, but I was skeptical because I had this performance that we shot, which has a lot of interesting things that I wanted to be in the video. And I couldn't imagine them together somehow. It didn't make sense to me. And then Adriana gave me an idea. You were talking...
I thought the Sky Murmurs should crash the party.
That sounded so perfect. No, it was like, it made sense all of a sudden. Sky Murmurs, the band, crashes the Chameleon's party, and we're in there. And somehow when I watch it, it's like we're performing in the house where this whole movie took place.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's crazy. But also, the Hal connection, it's all become this kind of cosmic thing because I directed Chameleons back in '89, and I directed this video recently, and they're fused together and they're showing on the Hal show who's in the video because he's in Chameleons.
Yeah.
All unintentional. It's so weird.
Yeah, it was like
bizarre.
a magic trick that just happened to us. So we think it's great, and we hope you agree with us. And
we love it, and we want you guys to love it too.
And we appreciate the chance to show it. But anyway, enjoy it.
And also, it's a way to give the movie new life and see it in a new way.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow. Check us out at skymurmers.com. Thank you.
Yeah, ground control. This is Flight 447. An unidentified mass just cut across our bow.
That was a near collision.
Cannot verify.
That was a
0
saucer.
miles out. There's nothing on our radar. 447, do you still have a visual? No, sir. It descended into a residential area.
I danced with a girl at your party who said she's an alien. I couldn't help myself, I had to ask her out. She's pretty weird, said she just got to town in a spaceship. I couldn't help myself, it really turned me on. I went to hold her hand and found instead slimy red tentacles. I can't help myself, I wanna touch it all. Might be the alcohol. Take me to your spaceship and show me your etchings. Don't be shy, I'm the kind of guy. Got any roommates, we can make it an orgy. Don't be shy, I'm your kind of guy. I'll show you mine if you show me 10 of yours. Don't be shy, I'm your kind of earth guy. If I sound just a little bit crazy, it's 'cause I'm crazy in love with you. I'm crazy in love with you. I'm crazy in love with you. Her shape-shifting hips turned to lips that kissed me all over. I couldn't help myself, she had me in her claw. She sprouted 10 eyes from the gills on her thighs just to be cute. I couldn't help myself, I had to laugh out loud. I think it made her mad 'cause she belched me out like a squid would. I can't help myself, I think we just broke up. Give me a second chance. Take me in your six songs and call me your lover. I'm your guy, I'm good from the sky. Love the way you rub me, you're not like any other. I'm your guy, I'm good from the sky. Kissing you is bliss, doesn't have to be over. Don't be shy, I'm your kind of earth guy. If I sound just a little bit crazy, it's 'cause I'm crazy in love with you. I'm crazy in love with you. What do you mean not big enough? I'm crazy in love with you. I'm ugly. Have you seen yourself? I'm crazy in love with you. Yeah, fly back to Uranus. You could do better. I'm crazy in love with you. Where are you going? Don't go. I'm crazy in love. Come back. I'm sorry. I'm crazy. I love you.
That's awesome.
And there you have it. I like the song, actually. Now that I've seen the video a couple of times, it seems a good song.
And it does sync up very well. It does a nice job with that. It does tell the story.
Well, you see some of our effects from Chameleons there in that pre-digital era. Some stop motion effects were done by Jonathan Horton, who worked on The Fly and The Fly 2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I myself did some animation where the creature transforms into the girl in the picture. Well, we are hoping to fix up the movie, but unfortunately we don't have any money. We have found, and we have the complete 121-minute cut of the film, but studio time costs like about $100 an hour. Still, while life remains, perhaps we can produce a nice, sharp, clear Chameleons visions on a disc. That is in the realm of wishes and fantasies. So let us continue with our show. Did we achieve any more questions during that interlude?
Yes, we did, Dr. Howe, and I'm going to
Excellent.
read one of them to you right now.
All
Let me
right.
see. You know, there is one that keeps getting my attention. Let's see. But you know what? I'm going to read Reverend Xenofact, our very own Reverend Xenofact. It has a $15 question for you, and it is which major religious figure would you most want to party with besides Bob?
Actually, I'm not even sure about Bob, because the most slackful being in the universe seems to derive slack from his immediate vicinity, which would mean mine. But it is said, and who am I to disagree, that high degree subgenius can surf the luck plane and take care of this pressing problem. But, Jesus was just all right with me as far as someone to hang with, but perhaps the Son of Man wouldn't care for a non-Jew in his entourage. I'm not trying to be controversial here, but if you look at what he said, it seems that his speech was for those who had the original covenant with Jehovah One. And then even Jesus has some odd behavioral quirks, as in the blighting of the fig tree, when he was irritated that it didn't have a fig for him to eat. Now, such an anecdote might be as specious as those have been determined to be that occur in the Apocrypha, as in when Jesus was working in the carpentry shop with his dad, and one leg of the table was a little longer than the other, and so instead of sawing it down and planing it, Jesus just bzzzt, and then the leg was the right length. But of course, this is not. This has been cut from the Bible when the Bible was reformed at the Synod of Whitby in 664 AD, which every schoolboy knows. Buddha would be a fine fellow to hang out with, and yet one couldn't pester Gautama with questions or even crack jokes, which at best would only be received with a faint smile of comprehension. But there are many robust gods of the ancient world, and I always say that if you want to do well in this world, and you're not inserting yourself into a war of the celestial beings, never a good idea, you've got to get right with Aphrodite. And then your life will be pleasant and not a struggle between thrones, dominions, and powers, such as we almost always find ourselves embroiled in, like a piece of sticky chewing gum which adheres and can never be removed. I hope that this answer was suitable. And now let me consider what kind of a poem to say. What about this one? I have to remember the beginning, and then I can remember the rest. So, let's see. All right. By Dylan Thomas again. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds would have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wise men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and then, too late, knew they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men who see at once with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Thanks.
Beautiful, Hal. I have a question here. Now, this is actually two questions. It's two $8 questions.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, it is. I liked it myself. He combined the two questions together. And this, of course, is Reverend Dr. Big John, our good friend, Reverend Dr. Big John. And the two questions are the first, do I have an evil twin? And the second question is, am I the evil twin?
Well, can you be more than one person, Reverend Dr. Big John? That is the crux of the question and the answer. You see, there has always been that thing, particularly in romantic literature, where there is a doppelganger, a dark companion, an identical twin, and this represents the other self, the secret self. You might not have a secret self, but then why should anyone bother with you if you are a plain and unsophisticated person, eating, sleeping, fornicating, working for some business? You are not as worth cultivating as that individual who, shall we say, dabbles with esoterica. So I suppose that you do have a twin, perhaps not an evil twin. Are you evil? Are you good? If you were good, your twin might be evil, but it might be an absolute duplicate of you. You can know by listening and by sensing at silent moments without distraction whether another element of your personality appears to be there and auditing. And of course, that might be so, or it might be your subconscious mind, always with you and looking out for you. Let me see here. How about Swinburne? I could say the hymn to Proserpine, except it's too long. Let's just say part of it, because Swinburne is interesting, particularly in the anti-Christian dimension. But let's give it a try. If I can just think of where to come into the poem, and I can. Ye are fallen, our lords, by what token? We wise that ye should not fall. Ye were all so fair that are broken, and one more fair than ye all. But I turn to her, still, having seen she shall surely abide in the end, goddess and maiden and queen. Be near me now, and befriend. O daughter of earth, of my mother, her crown and blossom of birth, I also thy brother. I go as I came unto earth, in the night where thine eyes are as moons are in heaven, the night where thou art, where the silence is more than all tunes, where sleep overflows from the heart, where the poppies are sweet as the rose in our world, and the red rose is white, and the wind falls faint as it blows with the fume of the flowers of the night, and the murmur of spirits that sleep in the shadow of gods from afar grows dim in thine ears, and deep as the deep dim soul of a star in the sweet low light of thy face. Under heavens untrod by the sun, let my soul with their souls find place, and forget what is done and undone. Thou art more than the gods who number the days of our temporal breath. Let these give labor and slumber, but thou, Proserpina, death. Therefore, now at thy feet I abide, for a season in silence. I know I shall die as my fathers died, and sleep as they sleep, even so. For the glass of the years is brittle, wherein we gaze for a span. A little soul for a little bears up this corpse, which is man. So long I endure, no longer, and laugh not again, neither weep, for there is no God found stronger than death, and death is asleep. Thank you.
Very nice, Dr. Hal. And now, the
Algernon
next...
Charles Swinburne.
What? Huh? What?
I said Algernon Charles Swinburne was the author.
Yes. Wonderful recitation. Interesting.
Thanks.
What age is that from? What are the dates on that? Do you know offhand?
The 19th century, let us say. The hymn to Proserpina.
The language is gorgeous.
I don't know why he doesn't have much stock among poets today. And of course, he wrote the anti-Jesus, when thou hast conquered, O pale Galilean, the world has grown pale with thy breath, and so forth. Maybe, I don't know. Who can say?
Those are strong words coming from a mortal.
Yeah, well, poets are sometimes brave, sometimes cowardly, sometimes, almost always, foolhardy, as those who attempt the poetic muse know full well about themselves, or should.
Yeah, I can relate.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's all a gamble. You could do a flopperoo, produce a ridiculous poem, and never know it. I suspect I have it at times. But what have we got on our plate now? That's the question.
How I made a life out of making ridiculous poetry at one point in time. I can still whip one out every now and again.
Oh yeah, I write them to occasion. I've written song lyrics. I've written lyrics for political campaigns. I've written everything.
Yeah,
I was hired by Hollywood to write lyrics, but they'll never be used. So, where, how, what, where, when?
What would you like? Are you hungry for another question, Dr. Hal? Can we offer you another question? This one's interesting.
I just don't want to be calmed in the show when it gets too interesting for me and you, but may lure those out beyond the firelight's circle.
Pardon me, you brought a tear to my throat. This one is interesting because of who it's from. It's from Dr. Hal Robins, which I'm trying to suss out.
Why did he do that?
No.
If you notice the strange congruence between the questions and the things that we're doing, like we just answered one about the shadow self and the doppelganger, and now he's out horning in. But I am equal to the question.
I didn't make that connection, but that's why you're Dr. Hal and I'm Pontius Pressure. So, but it is from Dr. Hal Robins. It is a $15 question, so apparently Dr. Hal is rather generous.
Yes, I have to check my bank balance.
Right? You got skimmed.
Let's see what it is.
Is it true? Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Oh well, never mind. Let's have it.
Sure. Is it true that Tycho Brahe had a variety of noses, and did his nose know no knowledge of the cosmos?
Well, you see,
It all makes sense now. It's from Gofflin. It wasn't someone who
oh,
skimmed your credit card. It's from
all right,
Gofflin.
that's good.
Okay.
Well, apparently Tycho
Gofflin
Brahe, or
skimmed your credit card.
I never knew how to pronounce his name, having only encountered it in the pages of the books. But this great sage was an astronomer and explorer of the cosmos. Many of the features on our planet's moon are named for him, including the great crater of Tycho. But like certain sufferers from Hansen's disease or leprosy, he might have had a problem with a nose dropping off, like No Nose Nanette and Father Damien of Molokai, in which case, like the king of Jerusalem once had to do, he may have had a nose made out of silver, which is easier to look at than one which attempts to look natural, since fake noses rarely do, even when commandeered by a member of the nobility. But if the nose dropped off on occasion, which could be a terrible embarrassment, still, one does not need to follow one's nose, but rather one's intuition to get into new levels of understanding and even to be a pioneer among scientific subjects. So I believe that has to be my answer. And here is a poem by our muse and poetic friend Clark Ashton Smith called The Last Oblivion. That is the title of a book of Smith's poems, which was compiled by a good friend of mine, also a poet who now I think is no longer in the United States. In fact, one doesn't know where he is, but we recommend this book, and this poem is quite interesting. Now, let me see. How does it go? It's not while the woods are redolent of spring, or scentless immortelles of autumn blow, shall I evade your loveliness, or know surcease of love and love's remembering, but haply wandering worlds and cycles hence through unforeseen fantastic avatars, I will forget you in the future stars, and take of time an alien recompense, till in some strange and latter planet wrought with molten shards and meteor dust of this, my hand shall pluck an unsuspected plume that lifts again the scarlet of your kiss, and I will muse and linger, knowing not the love that perished like a lost perfume.
Awesome, Dr. Hal. And that again was our good friend Professor Gofflin who asked that
All
question.
right. Well, I'm sure she's heard that one before too. Oh well, it was an interesting question, I must say.
Do you have the mental energy for one more question?
I believe so.
This block.
I'm here to do this, justice.
Well, let's do it. We have a $5 question, and it is from our Reverend Dear Friend.
Very
have we
good.
had questions from Reverend Dear Friend before? I'm trying to recall.
Not that my infallible memory can answer.
Well, he's Reverend Dear Friend is either an old friend or a new friend or a friend that we're just now meeting. But in any event, it's a $5 question, and
Very
it
good.
is: are some questions better unanswered?
Well, that's a profound philosophical question. To the inquiring mind, all answers are worth searching for. And then wizards and sorcerers and people like that may go beyond the barrier of what is considered appropriate or meet to be asked. However, it's not wrong to be afraid of the answer, or at least to exercise caution in receiving it, because the universe is large and larger than humans, and as I said earlier, may project a grotesque visage when we're not expecting it. Now, I must commend you to that wonderful movie, Curse of the Demon, known in England and now here by its proper name, which is Night of the Demon, about a demon worshipping cult and about how a curse can be put on someone who is opposed to that cult by the passing of a parchment. This was based on a famous British horror story by Montague Rhodes James, M.R. James, one of the great British horror story writers. And if you want a creepy story, I would suggest you read his tale, The Ash Tree, which I have read on my radio broadcast. And according to what I hear, it has caused some listeners to have nightmares. Not my intention, but at least you can wake up from nightmares. The story of Night of the Demon has to do with a psychic investigator who doesn't believe in any of it, who is gradually forced to come round to dealing with it. But at the end, when he has bested the sorcerer who was trying to kill him, and the mutilated body of the sorcerer is lying on the railroad tracks, did he get hit by a train, or did a giant taller than a tree demon come and mutilate him, which is what we see on the screen. And as the hero and heroine are about to walk over and inspect it, the hero, Dana Andrews, says, "Sometimes it's better not to know." A curious thing about that line is that Dana Andrews had an alcohol problem and can be seen holding a drink in his hands most of the way through the film, and he forgot the actual line he was supposed to say, and he just threw that one in, and it is incredibly fitting. One of the many happy accidents having to do with that film. In fact, the long version of the film was thought to have been destroyed when the Americans recut it and to have thrown out many important scenes. But I myself discovered the existence of the longer version, which is now available on DVD or Blu-ray. The story of that is too long to tell here, but I assure you it did happen through some strange coincidence. But are there such things as coincidences? You've seen it, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Oh God, we've shown it on the show. It's a wonderful
Yeah, we
movie.
excerpted scenes. I'm a big booster of the film, as you can tell.
It's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would play to 21st century audiences. It moves a little slowly, but I think it's
Well, you have to think about what's on the screen. Another problem is that after this version was recovered, they projected it everywhere, and that original print, which was struck by Columbia Pictures, was eventually screwed up and sprocket damaged by constant showing at science fiction conventions. And furthermore, it has an aspect ratio which must be respected, and an ignorant projectionist who puts the whole thing on the screen will find the audience laughing and sneering when a microphone, which is supposed to be outside the aspect ratio, is seen hanging over people who are talking. However, if you know anything about movies, that shouldn't stop you. Peggy Cummins, who stars in it as a sedate and meek kindergarten teacher, also appears in a bizarre film noir called Gun Crazy, where she appears to be a gun-toting woman who enjoys just shooting people. It's a very shocking movie, and especially if all you know her from is her performance in Night of the the Demon, where she shows up in her little cowgirl suit and shoots old ladies and things, was remarkable for its time. It's also a very well made movie. But so much for cinema for now.
Awesome. Well, speaking of cinema, we have our second monster movie moment coming up with
Excellent.
the word unhinged is used way too frequently these days, and I hate to use it here, but this movie did replace the picture in my head next to the definition of unhinged.
It is pre-digital, but has remarkable effects. The things seen on the screen are certainly of a disturbing character.
But you know what's funny? You talk about the delightful things that you learn on the Dr. Hal show. I had never heard of this movie. I'd passed over it many times, and it just didn't, it didn't look interesting to me. Boy, was that dumb.
Our friend Gofflin has an encyclopedic knowledge of such esoterica and was able to steer it our way. But we try to find things that are not shown over and over again, or if they are, the very best of those. Let us proceed.
This is something. Audience, get your questions in. It's called Ask Dr. Hal. We have room. It's Jello. There's always room for Jello. We always have room for more questions. Audience, get those questions in. Anyway, here it is. There it is.
It's October, the month which contains the season of Halloween, and the haunted house has always been a significant part of the iconography of that holiday. In our film, Houseu, some lovely Japanese women have moved into a house which, as a deal, seems too good to be true, but they are wrong. It's too bad to be true.
Hey folks, I'm going to jump on here for just a minute. We've obviously experienced some technical difficulties, and I'm just now noticing that it appears Dr. Hal, I've lost his screen. So give me just a minute. Dr. Hal is over on Zoom right now. We're connected. Let me take a look at my scene collection here. I think there we go. Hold tight for a minute. There we go. That was a roller coaster ride, Dr. Hal.
Now, we're back.
Whee!
I wonder, do we have that device that lets us see if there's anyone still listening to us or watching us?
St. Joyce is in chat with people right now. We do still have an audience. Some folks. I'm
Very
sure we
good.
lost some folks.
Of course.
But the show in its entirety, we're not going to lose anything. We're going to get all the questions answered that we have in our queue. Which is wonderful, and the show will be out there later on this week in its entirety. You won't even know anything happened, except if you've
Stitched
seen
together
here
and brought to unholy life.
But that's the danger of what we do here. It's it's
a live show, folks. alive.
The first show that we did, I did a long speech about it being a dancing bear, and it certainly is, but I won't deliver that long speech today because we have questions in the queue, Dr. Hal, and I'm going to give you a $3 question right now from our very dear friend, Mob Miati.
Good, from Washington, D.C.
Indeed, kind of my neck of the woods. Does the Ask Dr. Hal show accept rhetorical questions?
Yes, we do. Rhetorical questions are questions which do not demand an answer, but it is our business to provide an answer. So we do accept them, and that is my answer for now.
I have another question here. It is an $11 question from Reverend Drunculus. And it is, given the injury to Achilles' heel, what are the chances that he'll suit up for next Sunday's game against the Trojans?
Achilles, the great warrior? Well, of course, he would have to come from the underworld, and that would require a special dispensation. In these days, when all the rules and laws are being broken, one should not be too surprised. But let us review the circumstances. For one thing, when Achilles was a tiny infant, his mother, the nymph Thetis, was well aware that he was supposed to die at such and such a date. So she dunked him in the water of the river Styx, but she had to hold on to him somewhere. He was invulnerable to sword, lance, and everything else, except in that one little spot in the heel. And so during the Trojan controversy, he was hit in the heel. When he was driven insane by grief because of the slaying of his lover Patroclus. And Patroclus was in the fray because, as many of you will remember, Achilles was sulking in his tent and refusing to fight for Agamemnon. They had been there a long time, and they couldn't stand each other. And so Achilles later was interviewed by Odysseus in the underworld, but nothing was said at that time about him returning, although Heracles showed on a different occasion that by simple intimidation and brute strength, something which also reflects our current political predicament, he was able to muscle and bully the spirit of Alcestis out of Hades and back to her husband's house. Because Hercules, not knowing about it, had behaved boorishly and wished to make up for it. Well, we don't know whether it'll be Bad Bunny or a controversial country music or non-controversial Republican country music singer, but everyone would be surprised to see the Greek hero who tried not to be in the Trojan War and even disguised himself as a woman at one time until this transvestism was undone by Agamemnon. In that case, he picked a woman's name, and Sir Thomas Browne said in one of his essays, I think in Religio Medici, that a lot that is unknown will never be known, but that somehow, through some agency, perhaps the things which we can never know will become known. He was, one might think, anticipating the modern era. But among the things he said that would never be known was the name Achilles used when he hid himself among women. Well, you're watching the Ask Dr. Hal show, and I will now give you the name that Achilles used. He called himself, at that time herself, Pyrrha. Pyrrha means red-headed, which describes the look of Achilles to a T. And now, where are we, and where are we going?
Was that a question for me, Dr. Hal?
Oh, that might be a rhetorical question in itself.
Do you want the screen back?
No, I'm answering. A rhetorical question does not demand an answer. It can be an answer, as I tried to show.
Ah, well, yes. Yes, I suppose it can. I was enriched.
Haywire. We're trying to put it all back together. If you're still watching, you can appreciate our predicament.
Yeah, I was actually just logging back into our very friendly service known as Twitch, and I have a verification code here. Hold on.
It twitched once too often.
And then I can actually see what's going on in the chat again. Oh, and look, I'm logging in. Oh,
the password.
It works. There we are. Now I can see things.
And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still some patient souls out there.
You know, they either,
following.
we either didn't lose them to start with, they stuck around, or they came back. So we do still have
Okay.
folks out there, I'm happy to say.
All right, let's try to entertain them.
So let me just throw this out there, Dr. Hal. I have sent you an email, and also I have sent the link via
Email.
the chat, and I am sending it now in the audience chat. Audience, sorry I haven't been like out there chatting with you today, but we have been fighting all these little weird fires. Lost the
Gremlin.
internet. I think the conspiracy is trying to stop the message of Dr. Hal answering
It
these
may be
questions.
the imps trying to do it. I've mentioned them before.
So don't let them do it. Yeah, we have had problems here with gremlins. He who says that he is not, a believer in many things. That doesn't stop me from smudging here occasionally.
Well, one may not have heard of Joseph Antoine de Barbiguet's 4-volume books printed in France in the 18th century about the farfadets, as he called them, which translates to imps. But he was sure that he was bedeviled by imps, and his long book, which is considered the work of a madman, tells how they drive us to anger and cursing and other things while they giggle in unseen proximity. According to tradition, the imps did get him in the end, however. Well, let's keep going then.
Sure. Audience, you know what? Just because we had a minor, traffic accident doesn't mean we can't still drive. So get those questions in there. We would love to have them. And although the queue, the queue is doing what the queue does. So
And
let's
you
see
can
what we've got.
unload on us in the after-show chat, which will follow this presentation.
Which, by the way, I have put in the chat, audience. So let
Right,
me
you can
see.
just
Back
click-
over to
but
Kofi.
Don't click on it yet.
No,
Don't click on it yet. Stay with us. We have more show to do.
no, because the producer needs to go to the bathroom in between
Well, there's that.
this and that. So
Mhm.
it must happen.
Yes.
Let me see, Dr. Hal. Let me spin those wheels. I have a question here. Or it's a $20 question, Dr. Hal.
Splendid.
I like $20 questions. There's something about it that's nice and round and full
Yes,
and
a
plump.
round figure.
Yes.
Well, our monetary denominations were created by Thomas Jefferson, who thought that the ones that existed in his time were unnecessarily confusing. Pence, halfpence, tuppence, and so on. So he created the decimal system where you start with the penny and then you have 5 cents, 10 cents, and it's all, expands from there. Anyway, we like a $20 question and it will produce a recitation. But first of all, let's have the question itself.
I'm glad you asked, Dr. Hal. When I was younger, there was a great cultural enthusiasm for progress and the future. But that no longer seems to be the case. When was the future canceled? Is there a way for us to turn it back on?
Well, the future, of course, will occur, is not canceled, but the control of the direction of the future, the march of human progress, celebrated by Tennyson in his long poem Locksley Hall, has been diverted because during the tumultuous 60s, and especially the youth revolution, the picture of the future was shanghaied, was captured by those who were not normally in the business of mentioning it. At the same time, the efflorescence of science fiction, one of the gems of literature, created multiple futures, and many could choose which one it would be. Those left out of this aesthetic convulsion, on the other hand, seem to believe, since they are now abandoned by a rosy vision of what is to come, that all future is dystopian, and we will be living in an irradiated wasteland. And in fact, it is not impossible. But this has been followed by popular culture, and all movies seem to show all movies about the future, the terrible world that is to come. Since this is in the nature of a warning, we must strive to make sure that it does not happen and not be the passive spectators of our own future lives as we would be at a multi-million-dollar movie. Well, the future has its points, its ups and downs, just like the past, and very much like the present. This is a poem by one poet who doesn't get much cred these days, but was quite capable of writing interesting ones, and it has been recited before, usually on Halloween, by me. And here it comes again, Little Orphant Annie by James Whitcomb Riley. I hope this is still going out. Little orphant Annie's come to our house to stay, to wash the cups and the saucers up and dust the crumbs away and shoo the chickens off the porch and dust the hearth and sweep and make the fire and bake the bread and earn her board and keep. But all us other chillun, when the supper things is done, we sits around the kitchen fire and has the mostest fun, a-listening to the witch tales what Annie tells about, and the goblins that gets you if you don't watch out. And once there was a little boy who wouldn't say his prayers, and when he went to bed at night, away upstairs, his mammy heard him holler, and his daddy heard him bawl, and when they turned the covers down, he wasn't there at all. And they seeked him in the rafter room, the cubby hole and press, they seeked him up the chimbley flue, and everywheres, I guess, but all they ever found was just his pants and roundabout. And the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And onct there was a little girl who used to laugh and grin, make fun of everybody and all her blood and kin. And onct when there was company and old folks was there, she mocked 'em and she shocked 'em and she said she didn't care. And then, just as she kicked her heels and turned to run and hide, there was two great big black things a-standing at her side, and they snatched her through the ceiling, for she knew what she's about, and the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. And little orphan Annie says that when the blaze is blue, and the night lamp flickers, and the wind goes whoo, and you hear the crickets quit, and the sky is gray, and the lightning bugs and dew is all quenched away. You better mind your parents and your teachers, far and near, and cherish those that love you, and dry the orphan's tear, and help the poor and needy ones what clusters all about, or the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out.
Well, Dr. Hal, I have spun those wheels. Let me spin them one more time. That was the last question in the queue.
Last question. Well, what are you going to do?
You know, all good things.
Suppose it's an ending.
Well, you know, it's not over yet. I don't want to say the fat lady hasn't sang because that's not very nice, is it?
Well, she might be fat, but she has a tremendous voice. And we do have a Shuffle Off to Buffalo ending prepared. But before that is aired, we want to do the usual thanks and roundup. We want to ask people to give us another chance, tune in next time, and view our credits, which are quite extensive, and then to join us in the chat room where we personally can hear your reactions to everything that has happened on the show tonight.
And I make no apologies. It was the fault of the conspiracy. I took
Right.
no responsibility.
Or the Farfadets, the imps.
But thank you to Professor Gofflin, who was ready to take over and actually, by the time we had recovered, she already had the reins and was getting ready to bring Hal on.
Boy, up and beyond the call. We appreciate that more than we can say here.
So our recovery system almost worked. If it wouldn't have been for me saying, "Hold on, I think we're up." No, we're not up. Hold on, I think we're up. Hold on, no, sorry, we're not up.
Well, you hear that robo voice saying, "Recording is stopped," and you know you're in trouble then.
So, but the good news is we haven't lost anything. We have the whole show, and it will be up on Internet Archive.
Yeah.
Here within
And
the
when
week.
we post it, it will not have a big gap in it like that, although, of course, we will mention what has happened.
Well, St. Joyce and I might finally get a chance to take the trip this week. We keep running into various situations, but we're planning on going to Ong's Hat, paying a visit to Ong's Hat, if you're familiar.
They may not be familiar with that peculiar thing. Now, you said you weren't a believer in supernatural mumbo jumbo and malarkey, and yet there you are going with St. Joyce off to Ong's Hat. Could you give them a slight recapitulation of what the mystery there is?
Why, yes, Dr. Hal, I can. So Ong's Hat was founded by the Dobbs twins, whose father was a Texas UFO cult leader. So we have a good assumption that the Dobbs twins are, in fact, the progeny of J.R. Bob Dobbs himself. They were quantum physicists that were drummed out of Princeton, and they went to Ong's Hat and founded a think tank that designed the egg. Now, what the egg allows for is using the egg and some quantum physics that none of us can actually understand. It's not meant to be understood by human beings, but through these almost magical scientific methods and the use of tantric sex, the people in the think tank were able to transcend time and space and go to another Earth that had no human beings on it. So there's the gist of it.
They might have been able to, but remember, I say everything's fine here. We don't need to mess with the occult. I hope you don't get squirted out of this universe, but if so, perhaps listeners to this show, viewers, will be understanding.
I'll have a backpack and a canteen. I'll be fine.
That's good. It might not have any water there, but have fun, and and you can tell us when you return, if that happens, about your experiences.
It's in the New Jersey Pinelands, which I know a little bit about. And
the Jersey Devil, do you know about that?
I do. Matter of fact, there was a restaurant at the very end of Leeds Point, outside of Smithville. And that's where the whole Jersey Devil thing happened. That's where the 13th child was born to.
I have a model of the Jersey Devil on the other side of the room, not visible here.
Is he the horsey-looking one?
He's got cloven hooves. He's according to. Oh, you're going to show yours. Well, maybe yours looks like mine.
I'll show you. I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Well, I'll have to go get
this
it.
Was this was done by a friend of mine, Paul Spatola.
Yes, that's very close to what I have. The tail is bifid, the bifid barb of hell, as H.P. Lovecraft calls it. So there you go. Anyway, maybe when we come back in the chat room, I'll have my little
Right.
model of the Jersey Devil here to show.
This conversation was just a taste of what you can find if you come to the chat room.
Yeah, well, it doesn't all have to be us unloading on you. We want to hear what you have to tell us. Let's
for yourself.
do wind up roundup, but remember, don't go prematurely to the chat room because there ain't no one there. No how. Not at
I'm
the
gonna
present
pee.
time. Yes, do that also.
And don't leave because the show is not over. Dr. Hal has a final recitation. You're going to want to hear the final recitation, really. And we got cool. There's so much cool stuff. Even our end credits are cool stuff.
Yes, should watch them.
Come on, stick
We
around.
spend a lot of time on this stuff. You ought to watch it. All right, so there you go. There you go.
Here comes the big close. Somewhere.
What the hell?
Please be sure to join us for our next all-new Ask Dr. Hal Show Home Edition, Sunday, November 16th, 2025, only on Twitch. Visit our website at AskDrHalShow.com for information on where to find this as well as previous episodes. The good doctor is in and making house calls.
From Milton by William Blake. The wine press of Los is eastward of Golgonooza, before the seat of Satan. Luva laid the foundation, and Urizen finished it in howling woe. How red the sons and daughters of Luva, ere they tread the grapes, laughing and shouting. Drunk with odors, many fall or wearied. Those around lay them on skins of tigers, or of the spotted leopard or the wild ass, till they revive, or bury them in cool grots, making lamentation. This wine press is called War on Earth. It is the printing press of Los, and here he lays his words in order above the mortal brain, as cogs in a wheel are formed to turn the cogs of the adverse wheel. Timbrels and violins sport round the wine presses, the little seed, the sportive root, the earthworm, the gold beetle, the wise emmet dance round the wine presses of Luva. The centipede is there, the ground spider with many eyes, the mole clothed all in velvet, the ambitious spider in her sullen web, the lucky golden spinner, the earwig armed, the tender maggot, emblem of immortality, the flea, bug, tick, louse, tapeworm, all the armies of disease, visible or invisible to the slothful, vegetating man. The slow slug, the grasshopper that sings and drinks and laughs. Winter comes, he folds his slender bones without a murmur. The cruel scorpion is there, the gnat, the wasp, the hornet and the honeybee, the toad and venomous newt, the serpent clad in gems and gold. They throw off their gorgeous raiment, they rejoice in loud jubilee, dancing around the wine presses, naked and drunk with wine. There is the nettle that stings with his soft down, and there the indignant thistle, whose bitterness is bred in his milk, who feeds on contempt of his neighbor. There all the idle weeds that creep round the obscure places and display their various limbs, naked in all their beauty, dancing around the wine presses. But in the wine presses, the human grapes sing not, nor dance. They howl and writhe in shoals of torment, in fierce flames consuming, in chains of iron, and in dungeons circled with ceaseless fires, in pits and dens and shades of death, in shapes of torment and woe, the plates and screws and racks and saws and cords and fires and cisterns, the cruel sport of Luva's daughters, lacerating with knives and whips their victims, and the cruel joys of Luva's sons. They dance around the dying, and they drink the howl and groan. They catch the shrieks in cups of gold. They hand them to one another. These are the sports of love, and these the sweet delights of amorous play. Tears of the grape, the death sweat of the cluster, the last sigh of the mild youth who listens to the luring songs of Luva. Happy Halloween.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.